Okay, so it seems there are some people, you all, my people this time, that would like me to address why there are so many people that are mad at me. And especially this time around, I guess someone's accusing me of taking dark Democrat money. I'm not going to look at the details, just like I don't need to know the details of cult beliefs because I know so much about them that I can see all the parallels. But here's the thing, here's the answer. Here's why so many people are upset at me, because they haven't read the book. I mean, imagine trying to understand this in her perfect place in history, living in her full power, having pulled all of the lives I've led together to be good at what I do right now. Try understanding that if you haven't read the book. Right? So I'm born in the Philippines in 1987 in one of the most famous religious cults, the Children of God. What else is happening in the Philippines in 1987? The dictatorship has just fallen, right? This is not a stable place. I grew up from birth, 5 months old when we were deported, having to lay on the bottoms of vans and go across country borders, having to be snuck in to one country and then snuck out back through another country and then snuck back in, hoping to get home. I've been told that the cops were coming to raid us and take the children away and give us to the evil world out there to do who knows what with us since I was born. The chapter of them giving us drills of what to do in police raids is published in Rolling Stone magazine. Meanwhile, I was at home being tortured and abused and beaten and used as slave labor and performance labor in a cult all over Asia and then Latin America. By the time I'm 10, 11, I become the kitchen slave. And I was already slave labor, but this was a new level of being in the kitchen 100% of the time, cooking meals for upwards of 25 people, and then having to do all of the cleaning and then cook the next meal. I taught myself school at night from workbooks. When I was 12 years old, I weaned my baby brother. By the time I was 14, we were living in Mexico and I was being trafficked as a carnival clown throughout Mexico and lower Texas. Yes, I also make balloon animals. It's one of the things that kept me fed in college because they would pay $10 an hour for you to watch their children, but $75 to $300 for you to make balloon animals for them. I'll show you sometime. So by the time I'm 15, I'm kicked out of the cult into a country I've never lived in, the United States of America, the great state of Texas, to live with a stepsister I've only met 3 times. I'm told I cannot be enrolled in high school because I don't exist, but if I'm not enrolled somewhere in 5 days, they will have to call the cops. At some point, I realize I'm from another planet. When I'm 17, I realize it was a cult because there was a murder-suicide on television. This whole time, I am scraping it together as an indigent child in America. I was dropped off with $0. Okay? I put myself through high school in 2 years and then college in 4, paying for everything with loans and grants and scholarships and up to 4 jobs at a time. I studied literature and I graduated the valedictorian of the Arts and Humanities program. You can read my speech. It's really silly, like any 22-year-old. During this time, I also played for the best chess team in America. That's a whole story that is explained in the book. And the best chess team in the world, sorry. And as part of that, I was then traded to Germany because a bad player, was traded for a good player. And I got to spend a semester in Germany studying, and I kid you not, empire. Oh, Brazil, which I grew up in for a decade after the Asia stuff. There was some time in Peru. There was a decade in Brazil. I kind of jumped through that. This was also right after Brazil's dictatorship had fallen. Not that stable of a place. Still being snuck around everywhere. Okay? Now I'm graduated from college and I decide to commission into the Army. Why? Well, because I fell into a pretty toxic relationship and that seemed like a good thing to do. So I go into the Army where I discover 2 things. I can run very, very fast and I'm a great intelligence officer. So I go into intelligence. I mean, I've been studying bad guys my whole life and I'm good at being an expert. So I'm very good at it. I go to deployment after going to officer school and spy school, after getting the second highest language aptitude test score on their record at the time. And then I go to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, the Band of Brothers. Then I deploy, where I work with British, Canadians, Australians, New Zealanders, the Five Eyes, where I'm also the drone manager for a combat brigade, and wrote a book on drones, both things of which are in my unclassified evaluation. During this time, I was also in the right place at the right time to be voluntold to be one of the first 43 women that the 101st Division, who was in command at the time, so the U.S. Army, put onto deliberate ground combat teams, ultimately completely changing Army history and proving that they were wrong about everything they said about why women couldn't be in combat and helping to take down the combat ban. I would later get to go to the White House and meet the president. I was also medically evacuated from Afghanistan, but that's on my next deployment. Okay, I go home. During this time, I compete not once, but twice for the 101st running team in the DC Army 10-miler. That was super fun and interesting. Of course, I left the toxic guy behind. That's going to be important later. So I deploy again as the captain intelligence officer for a battalion this time of combat helicopters, all four that the Army had. We go, we deploy. At this point, I'm an expert on air tactics and ground tactics because we support the ground and the threat comes from the ground. And the intelligence officer knows operations better than the operations officer because we have to break them. I also work for a leader who really cares and really wants to develop us as leaders. So he really gets Army doctrine pounded into our heads. Oh, I forgot to mention, when I took over 2 years under my rank, as the intelligence officer, we had a command inspection program, which is a really big deal and a really big deal if you fail. And we had no security policy established. So I had to immediately become an expert and we passed with flying colors. I'm really, really good at what is supposed to be secret and how you are supposed to take care of it. I also volunteered to be the equal opportunity officers because I don't like sexual harassment and discrimination. So I became a little bit of knowledgeable on that. From the second deployment, I was evacuated, had a lot of different things go on, went on to work for Microsoft, voluntarily run a nonprofit that was about helping veterans understand entrepreneurship, from which I understood that a book proposal was the equivalent of getting startup funds. I decided to write my book, Uncultured, in the model of a big major book called Educated. And I said I was going to write the next one of those, and everyone scoffed. And then was published in the vein of Educated. I sold a book deal to Macmillan, one of the biggest book companies in America and hence the world. And why? Because, as you see, this is a very intense story. And in fact, when the Army then reached out to me asking me to testify against Major William Jeffrey Poole, yes, you can Google his name, whom I had been married to a decade before for white supremacy so they could kick him out, even I thought, no way, that is too much stuff to happen to one person. And yet, here's the person that has lived it all. And it's so much to explain that I've already written a whole second memoir, Un-American. You can get the 6-hour preview of that in video book form in my Patreon. I, during COVID, went to Harvard and got a master's degree in organizational psychology where I really cemented that I know a lot about bad guys and bad leaderships and bad groups. And I started building my channels while also writing my research book, The Culting of America, as a 36-page bibliography. You can get pre-order super cool bundles attached here where I really, really explain cults. And now we're going to be in selling mode for that. Oh, and I make a lot of money doing knitting stuff on the internet. And as I was getting ready to write this book, I thought to myself, I wonder if people out there want to know about this. I'm really what I seem like. I'm a private citizen that has been very, very vulnerable and has explained why I'm here and what I'm trying to do. Help you understand groups that have hurt you in the past, are hurting you now, or might try to hurt you in the future. If you don't want to be one of these people that doesn't understand, you can get signed copies of Uncultured attached here. Or listen to me read it to you on Spotify Premium or anywhere else you get your audiobook. I understand that it seems like I have lived way too many lives. There are countries my husband, Mr. Knitting Coat Lady, who's an even cooler veteran than me, and I didn't even get to on this one, can't go to because our real life does make it sound like we are spies. But y'all, think zebras when it's zebras. This time it's zebras, not psyops. And neither am I a dragon. Though that is a children's book I will write.
I might call her a bit of a dragon.